Okay, so you've had the first lesson in fractions, and today we're going to continue to work on the fractions, okay? So here's what the fractions look like. I know many of you have seen them, so I'm just going to show you first because I don't have a lot of space in my video. Okay, so if we look at the fractions, for example, we can see that they have lines that divide them. So we're going to use these lines to write fractions. So this line is going to be the line that divides them. Okay, so for example, let's take the eighth. So how many pieces have they been divided into? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 pieces. Well, this is how we would write 8 pieces. We would have this little black line, and under it we would write 8. Well, what about this one? How many pieces is this one broken into? We see 5 here. So we could write fifths and place it below the black line. So this is how we write fifths. So this line represents what is broken. When I see the number under the line, I can tell which fraction family it is from. So if I were to write if I wrote a 3 on a ticket and placed it here, which fraction family am I talking about? The thirds. So if I did the same for this one would be the tenths. So we could go ahead, and I bet you can imagine how to write the rest of them. So let's look at this one. Is this one divided? No, it's not. So for this one, we can just place a 1. Well, I want to show you how to write a complete fraction. So suppose we are talking about the fraction family of, let me grab the sixths. So we're talking about the family of 6. Well, if I want to talk about the sixths, I would take my black line and I would write a 6 under them. And if I wanted to do that for the ninths, I could write the ninths. Well, I am going to show you something else. So, if I wanted to label each of my fractions, I would have a whole, and we would label it as 1. If I was talking about halves, I would have 1 half and another half, 2 halves. I could do the same for thirds and write 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3, because each of these pieces is 1/3 of a whole. If I had a fourth 1/5. I could label 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. Then I could label 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. And I could continue to do this with the rest, with the 6, 7ths, 8ths, 9ths, and 10ths. Well, we have something else that we do when we talk about fractions. So let's say that I only wanted to write the fraction for these pieces. Well, one, I need to establish what family does this fraction belong to? Well, this is a 4th, so they belong to the 4ths. So I know that my bottom number is a 4th. So this number on the bottom is called the denominator. Let me write that word for you. So here we have the denominator, and that's our bottom number. It tells us which family the fractions belong to. Well, now we need to find out how many 4ths are there. Well, 1, 2, 3. I have 3 4ths. So three would go on the top because I have 3 pieces of 4ths. So we call the top number the numerator. So we have the numerator and the denominator. And so the numerator comes from the Latin word numerus, which means number. So the numerator tells us the number of pieces that we have. So, for example, if I wanted to write the fraction for this, how can I do that? Well, I can first figure out which fraction family do I have here. Well, this looks like the thirds, so I know that my denominator is the thirds. And then I need to decide, well, how many thirds do I have? 1 and 2. So I know my numerator is 2. So my answer is 2 thirds. So what I want you to practice doing, I'm going to set up a couple problems, and I want you to write the fraction for these. So here I have this group, I have this group, I know it'll be a little tricky to do that because you can't tell. So what I'll do is I'll write the denominator for these, and then you guys can fill in the numerator. How does that sound? So for this one, I have 5ths. Here I have 6ths. Here I have halves. And then for this one, I have tenths. So you don't have to do this with circles. You can do this with anything. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how else to do things.